One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
The Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by them, our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court, my lord.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Good evening and welcome to The Law of the People and Governance here on Spectrum Television. This is a political program that talks about political trends and of course also talks about social issues as well as it concerns Nigerians. Of course, since the emergence of a new administration which is led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we've had lots of policies and changes, and this is what we discuss on this program. My name is Rachel David White. So I'll quickly get to the reports we're having for today. The first report is coming from the angle of the suspended Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele. Of course, he has filed a bail application before the Federal High Court in Lagos, seeking self-recognizance bail while awaiting the hearing and determination of charges brought against him by the federal government. Well, Mr. Emefiele's lead counsel, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Joseph Daudu, filed the bail application based on relevant provisions of the Constitution, the Administration of Criminal Justice Act of 2015, and the inherent powers of the court. The exact dates for Mr. Emefiele's arraignment on the two count of illegal possession of firearms and ammunition remains uncertain, actually, but it is expected to take place during the annual vacation of the court starting on Monday, July 24, 2023. Well, the case has been assigned to Justice Nicholas Owebo, one of the two vacation judges for the court, and the other being Justice Akintayo Aluko. Also, the suspended CBN governor's bail application rests on 9 grounds, including the arguments that the charges against him are bailable. He emphasized his clean record and, of course, presumption of innocence until proven guilty. And additionally, he stated that granting him bail would allow him ample time to and facilities to prepare his defense as well. Also pointed out to his reputation, a credible record, and of course the former CBN governor status. Mr. Emefiele assured the court that he is not a flight risk and would not abscond if bail is granted. He also asserted that as investigations have concluded, there is no likelihood of tampering on his part. Well, he pledged to attend trial punctually and has agreed to provide responsible sureties per the court's requirement. Well, the charge sheet brought by the federal government alleges that Mr. Emefiele possessed a single-barrel shotgun, Georgiev Magnum 8371, without a license, contravening Section 4 of the Firearms Act Cap F28 laws of the Federation 2004 and punishable under Section 27, subsection 1B of the same Act. And the second count accuses him of possessing 123 rounds of live ammunition cartridges without a license, violating Section 8 of the Firearms Act Cap F28 laws of the Federation 2004 and punishable under Section 27, subsection 1, subsection B, subsection, of course, 2 as well of the same Act. And a team of 10 lawyers, including a senior advocate led by former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Joseph Daudu, has been enlisted to defend the suspended central bank governor. Godwin Emefiele was appointed governor of the CBN in 2014. And he was suspended by President Bola Tinubu on the 9th of June 2023 and later arrested by the DSS. So this is part of the report we are having today. That's about the Central Bank of Nigeria governor, well, the former Central Bank of Nigeria governor. Under his watch, which Nigeria experienced cash crunch, that was during the electioneering, when the 2023 elections was about to be held. Of course, we had the redesign of the new Naira note. So many persons have been calling out, asking him to be probed on, of course, carefully investigated on how that came about, the whole policy, and of course, even when it was suspended, you could also agree with me that right now, even if you have to withdraw from the bank, out of 20,000 Naira, you can get 2,000 Naira new notes. So where on earth are the new notes? All right, away from that, let's get to the second report we have for today. The House of Representatives yesterday unveiled plans to investigate the role played by the Federal Character Commission, that's the FCC, on the appointments undertaken by ministries, departments, and agencies, that's the MDAs, between 2015 and 2023. While this resolution was passed sequel to the motion of adoption of a motion rather on the need to compel the Federal Character Commissions to diligently discharge its constitutional and statutory mandate and responsibility, which was sponsored by Honorable Paul Sunday Namchi. Well, in his lead debate, Honorable Namchi expressed concern over the flagrant breach of the Federal Character Commission Act, which was actually enacted in 1995 and enshrined in the 1999 Constitution as amended. The primary responsibility was to promote, monitor, and enforce compliance with the principles of the proportional sharing of all bureaucratic, economic, media, and political posts at all levels of government. Part of it is that the House recalls that no other constitution in Nigerian history has entrenched such a regulatory body and vested SEM with powers to facilitate national integration through equitable, transparent, and unbiased sharing of national wealth and public official positions. The House also laments that 28 years after the purposeful enactment was aimed at national cohesion and equal opportunities, and 24 years after its constitutional entrenchment, the perception is that there exists brazen domination of the bureaucratic, economic, media, and the political posts at all levels by a section of the country at the expense of the others. Well, let me not talk yet until we come back to this. Well, the House also regrets that the Federal Character Commission has virtually abdicated its constitutional and statutory responsibilities and degenerated into personality clash of interest amongst its commissioners, as well as the case about a year ago. And also the House recognizes that the constitutional injunction is that the Federal Republic of Nigeria shall be a state based on the principles of democracy and social justice, which also propagates national integration and, of course, abjure discrimination on the grounds of place of origin, sex, religion, status, ethnic or even linguistic association or ties. Also, the House observed that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, as amended, empowered the National Assembly with the categorical powers under Section 88, subsection 2, and of course subsection 6 as well, to expose corruption, inefficiency, or waste in the execution or administration of laws within its legislative competence and in the disbursement or administration of funds appropriated by it as the core oversight and supervisory duties. The House also notes that by Order 17, Rule 1 from A to B of the Standing Orders of the House, all ministries, statutory agencies, bodies or corporations have to forward to the Speaker all reports required by statutes within 3 months of the close of the reporting period, and any violation of the same attracts sanctions, of course, as provided by the Legislative Houses Power and Privileges Act 2017. Away from that, the House concluded that it is within the legislative competence of the National Assembly, especially its relevant committee, when constituted, it hasn't been constituted yet, to compel the Federal Character Commission to discharge its constitutional and statutory responsibilities. So the House had mandated the Committee on the Federal Character, when it is constituted, to request the Federal Character Commission to actually forward the returns on appointments undertaken by ministries, departments, and agencies under its jurisdiction between 2015 to 2023 and report back within 4 weeks for further legislative actions. Well, I think if it's actually being constituted, and of course it is also, it serves as a monitoring agent to the Federal Character Commission, which is supposed to also serve as a monitoring agent, of course, to how offices are being shared among MDAs. This is going to serve as a watchdog to checkmate what is actually going on in the Federal Character Commission. All right, so away from that, we have another report that we'll be talking about today, and that has to do with what is going on with Nigerians. Of course, government exists to make policies, and the policies of the government is for the people. But one thing the government is expected to do is check if the policies they are making favors the people, because of course, government policies have to favor the people, because government exists for, the sole aim of making life comfortable for its citizens. So when we come back from the short break, we'll take a look at one of the policies that the president had made that is still shaking the nation till now. Do stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
he linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My Lord, the matters counsel is leading the evidence in our
Is
matters.
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord, but you can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my Lord.
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord. These cases are in court, my Lord. I'm just reminding your Lordship.
My Lord, sorry, my Lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
All right, welcome back. It's still the program, The Law of the People and Governance, here on Spectrum Television. And if you are just joining us, then we are taking a look at some of the trends that are happening, some of the policies, of course, that the government has made that is affecting the people. Well, before we went on that short break, I told you that we are going to take a look at one of the policies that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has made that has actually affected and shaken the nation till now, and that is the removal of petrol subsidy. Let me come from this angle. President Bola Tinubu had ordered that, the Senate should actually approve the sum of 500 billion naira, of course, to be saved as palliative, of course, to be disbursed to 12 million vulnerable Nigerian homes, and that will actually be 8,000 naira per home for a period of 6 months. Before now, many people had come out to, clamor for the president to actually take a review of this amount of money, saying it wouldn't be enough for the people. And of course, don't forget that still in the middle of that, 70 billion naira was actually proposed to serve as palliative for the Senate, which people sparked wide anger from different people in Nigeria. Well, they said if this amount of money could be proposed as palliative to buy cars, of course, bulletproof cars for the Senate, what happens? How come just 500 billion naira was being meant to serve the whole of vulnerable Nigerians, 12 million homes? And in the middle of that, just yesterday, we saw a new increase in fuel pump price from 550 and 40 in some areas to 617 naira, which made life even more tougher for Nigerians. And well, in the middle of that, President Bola Tinubu had ordered the immediate review of the proposed 8,000 naira conditional cash transfer to Nigerians to cushion the effect of the petrol subsidy removal. And report says that in a statement, Yesterday night, Dele Alake, special advisor on special duties, communications and strategy to the president, he said President Tinubu had also directed that the whole gamut of the palliative package of the government be unveiled to Nigerians. He says, according to the statement, that the 8,000 naira conditional cash transfer program envisaged to bring succor to most vulnerable households be reviewed immediately. This is in difference to the views expressed by Nigerians against it. Now, part of the statement reads, and I'm going to quote, it says, "You will agree with me that it has become part of the culture of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration to constantly dialogue with Nigerians who voted him into office. The president covenanted with Nigerians that their welfare and security will be topmost in the renewed hope agenda of his government." In the last few days, the conventional and new media platforms have become awash with stories of the government intending to embark on conditional cash transfer to vulnerable households mostly affected by the painful but necessary decision to remove subsidy from petrol. It says the story has been widely reported that the federal government is proposing to give 12 million households from the poorest of the poor 8,000 naira monthly for a period of 6 months as government palliative to reduce the discomfort being experienced by Nigerians consequent upon subsidy removal. It says a lot of ill-informed imputations have been read into the program by not a few naysayers. The administration believes in the maxim that when there is prohibition, there must be provision. Since subsidy, the hydra-headed monster threatening to kill the economy, has been stopped, government has emplaced a broad spectrum of reliefs to bring help to Nigerians. And it also said, while it should be noted that cash program is not the only item in the whole gamut of the relief package of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as a listening leader who has vowed to always put Nigerians at the heart of his policies and programs, the president has directed as follows. Number one, that the 8,000 naira conditional cash transfer program envisaged to bring succor to most vulnerable households be reviewed immediately. This is in difference to the views expressed by Nigerians against it. That number two, the whole gamut of palliative package of government be unveiled to Nigerians. I'm still waiting. And that number three, immediate release of fertilizers and grains to approximately 15 million farmers and households respectively in all the 36 states and the FCT be made possible. The president further assured Nigerians that the 500 billion naira approved by Parliament to cushion the pain occasioned by the end of subsidy regime will be judiciously utilized, and the beneficiaries of the relief shall be Nigerians irrespective of their ethnic, religious or political affiliations. Well, it says President Bola Tinubu has promised to always prioritize the well-being of Nigerians and is irrevocably committed to the vow. A number of decisions taken so far by this administration have buttressed this stance. Well, don't forget that the president took a similar decision after listening to complaints from the business community and stakeholders about burdensome taxes, particularly multiplicity of taxes they are made to experience. And this warranted the signing of 4 executive orders cancelling some classes of taxes, which we also talked about here, while suspending the implementation dates of others. And well, part of that, in addition to that, the president had also set up a tax reform and fiscal policy committee to bring up recommendations that will engender a wholesome fiscal environment for the country and remove anti-business barriers. Okay, finally, the statement says, I wish to assure Nigerians that President Bola Tinubu will continue to be a listening leader whose ears will not be dull to the views expressed by the citizenry. The president believes government exists to cater for, well, the interests of the people, and he has demonstrated this so clearly. Okay, so this is the statement that the president's, of course, media and strategy person, Dele Alake, brought to Nigerians. The president's asking for the immediate review of the 8,000 naira palliative that was earlier proposed seems to be a good move in the eyes of some people, while it seems to be, nothing at all in the eyes of some other persons. Because, I mean, people are asking how much will be reviewed, how will the president or the people, the committee being set up to dispense this cash to 12 million Nigerian homes, how are they going to recognize or sort out the poorest of the poor in Nigeria? Those are the questions that are being asked. Okay, so we'll quickly go on a short break. When we come right back, our guests will be here to talk to us on the existing topic on ground. So do stay tuned. We'll be right back.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigeria Police Force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian Police Force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My Lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my
this
Lord.
an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord. These cases are in court, my Lord. I'm just reminding your Lordship.
My Lord, sorry, my Lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
All right, welcome back. It's still the program, The Law of the People and Governance here on Spectrum Television. As promised, that when we come right back, our guest will be here to talk to us. So we're being joined via audio call by Mr. Bernard Titus. He's a socio-political analyst, and of course today he will be analyzing the effect of the fuel subsidy on Nigerians, and of course we'll also take a look at the president's proposed palliative, which he has asked for a review, and of course how to locate the poorest of the poor homes in Nigeria. So welcome, Mr. Bernard.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
Okay, let me ask just a brief question. How do you feel? I know you were supposed to be here live, but part of the things that may have, hindered your coming here live should be, driving your car down here when, petrol is almost 700 naira per liter.
Well, the change we clamored for, we've finally gotten it, and then I'm glad that it's telling on both the APC, the Labour Party. It's now a Nigerian issue.
And not a party.
Not party. Yeah, so it's now a Nigerian issue, not party-related matters anymore. So it's quite unfortunate that the whole hike in the pump price is terrible.
Okay, before now, the president had proposed a 500 billion naira palliative to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy on Nigerians, of course, which was seen as not enough by so many Nigerians. The likes of NLC President Joe Ajaro had said the statement, of course, even the hike in fuel price again is unacceptable and provocative, and that the 18% increase is designed to put Nigerians into more hardship, and of course, is designed to worsen the situation of Nigerians as well. But let's talk about the fact that the president has been kind enough to want to review the 8,000 naira that was meant to go to 12 million Nigerian homes monthly for 6 months.
Well, I don't know the statistics and the measure. They arrive at the 8,000, and how were they able to conduct the analysis in order to know the beneficiaries?
And to know that we have 12 million Nigerian or 12 million poor homes, and how they are going to be able to locate them as well.
Absolutely correct. So I don't know their means and methods of collation of data and how they arrive on a logical conclusion of the population size as stated. So for me, I don't know, and I wouldn't want to dabble into such,
Okay, I think we're having some reconnection issues. That's one of the questions that has been on my mind. I mean, how are we going to locate 12 million Nigerian homes who are most vulnerable, like the poorest of them all? What are those strategies that have been put in place by the government to ensure that they locate this home? I mean, let's say some homes who are actually poor do not get to benefit from this. What is going to happen? Or does it just mean that just a cross-section of all homes are going to benefit while some just go because they're not being noticed? I mean, come to think of it, that sometimes you maybe in your neighborhood find people who are living below poverty line, and then you're wondering, this is an area that probably you haven't seen any sign of maybe people from the federal government or even the state government come to take head count or something. So what happens? How are these people going to be identified at the end of the day when palliative is being shared? Because take a look at what happened during the COVID-19, where palliatives were actually shared, and then it was supposed to get to poor Nigerian homes. Trust me, there are so many homes that I can count that never, in my area, I never heard about it. So I only heard, but it never reached that side. But trust me, there were vulnerable Nigerians living in that locality. So what happens now? There is another palliative that is being shifted across to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy, which is even more burdensome on the shoulders of the most vulnerable Nigerians, like the president had said. So how are these persons going to be identified? How is it going to pass across to them? Well, the good news is that the 8,000 naira has been reviewed or will be reviewed. So let's look forward to the new price that is coming up. Okay, so welcome back, Bernard Titus.
Yeah, thank you. It's quite a network problem. You know, the country is quite an amazing place we are.
It's okay, so just go ahead. Okay, so I think this is one of the problems we have once in a while. It happens. Are you back? Okay, I think we're still having issues to try to reconnect with him. So I was talking about getting to discover these Nigerian homes that are actually most vulnerable. Well, the NLC President Joe Ajaro had said that if the government do not go back on, of course, the price of the increment, or the NNPC do not go back on the increment that has just been put, that they may actually have to go against their plans. Of course, remember that they were supposed to go on strike, and of course all unions withdraw their services, but thank God for the federal government that intercepted and of course interceded rather, and they had a closed door meeting that came out, and then we didn't hear anything else. We just heard that the strike is on hold. The government are going to work on it. So let's get back to our guest, Bernard Titus. Welcome back once again.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm right here. So I was saying earlier that I don't understand the basis for the 8,000 palliative as enumerated by the government, and how they were able to arrive on the population size of the citizens, and certainly most importantly, how were they able to differentiate those who are average, the poor, and the extreme down
poorest of them all.
Use such word. Do you understand? Do you get the point I made?
Okay, Bernard, let's shift away from that. Let's even say that the issue of fuel subsidy, do you see maybe policy mixed with politics? Because I remember, I think 2012, if I'm right, or before then, when the president, of course, by then he wasn't the president, of course, we all know, had even written, I think he wrote, he just made a write-up on fuel subsidy, which he said was scam, and of course was just I can't remember how he did it, but it was during the time of President Goodluck Jonathan, and then he saw it as scam and of course favoring the rich. But here we are. I know subsidy is something that needs to happen, but if subsidy, I think the best time for subsidy to have happened would have been 2012 as well, when former President Goodluck Jonathan was the president and the economy looked a bit better, right? But do you see politics mixed with policies here?
Well, it's been a way of that has been the way of Nigerian politics, or can I say an African continent politics. But then let's narrow it down to our own country. The both ways has always been the same pattern. That's why you see we have inconsistency with our policy. because there is politics that encroach on the decision making, where majorly when policy should be, highly differentiated in order to bring dividends to the citizens, strengthen the institution of of the government frameworks. But because politics has mixed up with these instruments that ought to strengthen the policy itself and the politics itself, that's why we have the inconsistency in policy making, and we usually don't have a very solid foundation when it comes to arriving at any logical conclusion at that level. For instance, when Jonathan tried it and made such comment, we all saw how the top institution in Nigeria and top political class clowned down on him, and then that was a no.
All right, I think we're still having some issues with network, trying to connect back to our guest. But if you're just joining us, then we are taking a look at some of the government policies that is not going down well with the people. The fact that fuel subsidy is something that had eaten deep into the economy of Nigeria, and of course, it needed to be looked at. There are so many questions as to, is the timing actually right? Away from the timing, let's say the timing is right. What are those things that were being put in place? Because if there were measures, for example, the palliative was already being put in place before subsidy came. Well, not the 8,000 naira actually, but if there were better other measures, like the president has said that it is not just the palliative that is being, that is the 8,000 naira that is part of the, it's just the palliative he has for the people. He has other things, including sending out grains to farmers across the 36 states, and of course the FCT as well. So if they are other measures being put in place, it should have been done or shown to the people before the removal of petrol subsidy, which had eaten deep into the economy. It was a necessity as well. Like I said, the economy looked way balanced back then in the days of former President Goodluck Jonathan. And of course, if subsidy was being removed during those days, way back 2012, it would have, Nigeria would have stood a better chance to survive. Of course, borders were open. Things weren't this costly. Of course, you can also agree with me, things weren't this costly. Yeah, even though it would have been costly because of fuel subsidy removal as at then, but it wouldn't have come to this. This is, I think this is extreme. If you ask me, this is extreme. And then this is making the vulnerable become more vulnerable as well. Okay, so we have a guest back on the line. Welcome back.
Thank you. So as I was saying, Rachel, you see, these are the challenges we have now. Right now, like I said, like I stated earlier, the old policy of the new government of removing subsidy, which is a very good idea, but because the policies framework, laid down framework, were not properly streamlined and implemented. Okay. That is why you see these extreme rate. As we speak to you, virtually all the citizens are suffering. The transport system is on a hike. To get fuel on your generator is on a hike. To even leave your house and drive a car, you are thinking, you have to calculate effectively on how to navigate to ensure that the little fuel you have can at least sustain you in the next available hours. So you see now that when it comes to selecting leaders, we must be very careful.
Okay, now you're talking about big. Sorry,
whose labor?
Bernard, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Now, in this context, what has selecting leaders got to do with it? You already said that fuel subsidy removal is ideal? Is it the timing that is bad?
Now, like I say, if the government had they meant well initially, no, the president wouldn't have publicly made that kind of a comment without putting on the appropriate mechanics in place. No thorough policies that were laid down framework on how to cushion all of these. And you just stood in the public domain and then make some public utterances just to gain cheap media publicities and all of that, that will bring an aftermath effect on the people. That's the point. I'm not against the fact that the subsidy removal was a good ideal, which I also agree, perfectly okay. But before engaging, with their thorough engagement and communication to appropriate authorities, and also on getting the citizen also involved on the engagement, so that they will know the time lag and how many months or thereabout weeks that they have to engage and suffer this debate before everything is normalized. That's the point. That's the point. So I'm not against the fact that the subsidy issue has been an organized system, an organized crime over the years, right? So the move was a good move, but then there were basic fundamental issues that would have been addressed before arriving in the whole conclusion of all of this, not jumping from, leaving the bottom to face the surface.
Okay, are you still listening to me?
Perfectly okay.
Okay, let's say the NLC wants to, come in at this point. What would you advise?
NLC is part of the. They are also part of.
Part of the problem.
NLC,
you want to say?
Rachel, they are part of the problem.
How?
How many meetings did they have been invited on? How many meetings they've gone? They went for a meeting. So what have they done to cushion the whole effect? They are also part of the problem.
So let's say the NLC, as proposed before now, and other unions decided to embark on a strike and withdraw all services. Would that have been a better way to cushion the effect?
Rachel, I won't subscribe to NLC engaging on a mass protest at this point on strike. That will further worsen the circumstances we are already in.
So what do you propose?
Absolutely, let them go for a very structural policy program and a dialogue that will cut across all stakeholders, both at the supply chain and other bodies that are also involved with key stakeholders, and come up with something more fundamental. And then if there is a palliative, as it rightly stated, the palliative should be properly channeled to the appropriate bodies, and ensure that this can cushion the effect. This is telling on every Nigerian, and it's not making any sense that year in, year out, as citizens we are used to every government or the other that will perpetually put Nigerians on a thinking tack and what to do on a daily basis to survive with the life, to go about the normal based activities on a daily.
All right.
That's not what is available.
Okay. I'm sorry. Network had been playing pranks with us. I wish we had ample time to, of course, discuss this issue further, because there are so many things I would have loved to address with you. But because of time, we have to round up for now. Thank you so much, Bernard Titus, for coming on the show today. I wish Fuel had allowed you to come live on the show.
Sure.
All right, back to the people. Thank you so much for staying glued to your TV. It's been the program, The Law of the People and Governance, here on Spectrum Television. But meanwhile, we'll catch you again tomorrow. Don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, SpectrumTv.ng. And also follow us on Twitter at SpectrumTonline, all as one word. My name is Rachel David White, and you can also follow me on Twitter at Rachel White. Good evening.